Hey, turn that volume up, Eli. It's Monday, bro. I can barely hear it. It just needs to be louder. You're killing me today, man.
What's up, guys?
Now I'm sad.
There we
now
go.
I don't want to talk. Now I got poopy pants.
That sound all right to you?
No, now I got poopy pants. I don't want to talk to you, bro.
Oh, man.
The domino effect. Well, first and foremost, because I never say this. Listen, if you guys are on Facebook and you watch this live, awesome. We appreciate you. If you ever want to shut your cell phone screen off and listen to our long form, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, it's all Day 1 $0 podcast. You can find it there. Hopefully you can turn your volume up and have a better vibe. That's supposed to crank all the way up.
It was up.
No.
That was up.
No. I'm looking at
watching the volume levels. The volume levels.
Turn back to my knife hand. See, the freaking volume was not freaking up all the freaking way. Which bums me out. Now I need more caffeine.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Get that caffeine down.
How's your weekend, Eli? Was it
Oh, man,
mediocre like the volume, or was it cracking, or what was it, man?
No, it was a good weekend, man. Baby duty on Saturday. A little bit of work and getting ready for the week on Sunday. Yeah, he's still alive.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, it's a great time, dude. Great time.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's kind of that weird holiday stage right now when it's like all the business for the year is pretty much wrapped up, but we're ramping up for next year, and
I like that. Might be a good podcast in its own, man. And we're in sales. I get it. Like sometimes there's just a lower demand, or as you get around Christmas and New Year's, there's not a ton of transactions that are going on right now. If you're that one realtor out there that's like, I'm crushing. This is the best week of my year. Like, I get it. That's fine.
And all that shit's closing from 2 months ago anyway.
Correct. Yeah. And that's okay. I'm not, but typically in sales, like some things, you've got like an ebb and flow to certain seasons, and this is just one of them where these 2 weeks it does slow down a bit. People have got some holiday stuff and different things going on. However, and we could go all day with this if we wanted to, so we're not. It's probably a separate podcast, but there's also got to be an ebb and flow to your business. So what are you building for 2020? Did that start already? Are you in that prep phase? Because a lot of times, man, like we need that prep phase. So when business tends to slow down a little bit, I kind of like it, especially right now because we've got a lot of stuff that we're building and prepping and just making sure it's on point for 2020. I don't mean just pipeline and then calling all your sales and not that, like actual other projects that we have going on. We've got that coming up. So you and I have been kind of in a cave just working on that stuff. And it's, so I almost don't mind some of that. I know when they talk about, especially in real estate, like, they say like, oh, if your business kind of goes like this and you're not being successful, like, I don't know, man. I don't know about all that. I understand the ideology of what they're saying. If you're working your pipeline appropriately, and if people that are further out, you're still working and nurturing, then they're going to come out when it's slow, and then you end up being consistent all year. I understand, but first and foremost, the math never works out on that.
Well, it's just
right?
It's just different, dude, especially when you have multiple businesses and multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it's really good to just, like in nature, things just ebb and flow. In business, you'll have ebbs and flows. But what's nice about having different businesses and multiple streams of income is while one is ebbing, another one can be flowing. And then while that one is getting set, or while that one is set up, then you got time. So it's kind of like they can complement each other.
Well, just taking advantage of that momentum.
Yes.
So if there's a momentum shift, or some of your things are a little bit slower, like for us, right now we've got a lot of stuff, like right now, like you guys can't see, we're at an undisclosed location that we never speak about, which I think is fun. But right across, like I'm looking straight past the cameras, I'm looking at our new set. We've got a new wall built. We've got some tiles laid, some signs built, some tables and boards that are going up. We've been building. I'm looking right across at it, dude. The lights, you can't see it. The lights are hitting it just right. It's so cool.
Dope, man.
I'm super excited for that. So it's been fun to just maybe not have as many buyers right this second, because we've had some time to just get down in here and get some of this stuff done and recorded and established. That way, when we're hitting our public talks, in January, I'm not sure if we've spoken about that yet. We've got some talks coming up in 2020 in New York. We've got a handful of those scheduled out and some other cool stuff. So it's been nice to, and we're still a decent ways away though. We got a lot of video to record for that stuff, but it's nice to just get down and get some of this stuff tackled before we start ramping things back up in January.
Yeah, it's a good time right now, bro. It's a good time. So, domino effect.
Ooh. And Eli was asking me, I told his ass over the weekend, I had a shower. I have a lot of showers.
That's good. Yeah.
I have a lot of showers. I shower twice a day because I'm a big dude. I don't need mud butt, right? So just full disclosure, right? You don't keep pretty ladies around if you smell like shit.
That's true. That's why
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome, boys. So I had a shower. I was thinking about it, and but and I was talking to Kate. Kate's got some business stuff she's doing with her father, and they're they're awesome at what they do. They don't need my advice, but we were talking about it, and she was like, man, like, it'd be cool if this like went right into this and right into that. And I was like, yeah, or maybe something that you're not even thinking of yet. Maybe something's gonna pop up and that you're not even thinking. And she's like, well, what do you mean? Cliff noting here, and it just reminded me of like what you and I are doing, and I was like, well. Like it's good to have a goal. It's good to be deliberate about what you're doing, and it's good to forecast. Obviously, preparing for a battlefield, you want to forecast as much as you can. It's great. It's an advantage. However, just like Mike Tyson says, right? Like it's everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, and that's true. But it's also a good thing. Like for you and I, when we first started real estate together, we didn't plan on a podcast. We didn't plan on business consulting and public speaking. Like we're speaking at some summit. I definitely didn't think it'd pop off in New York.
Yeah.
Like for it to be the first ones. And not that we're a big deal, being a world renowned speaker now. It's not, I'm going to be modest, right? Being I like how you flip the camera so you can laugh so you can laugh with everyone.
Like
I like that. Oh man. So, I'm just big on that. I'm big on like it's good to forecast and it'd be cool if my business if it went from this to this to this and like you're forecasting. It's good. However, you don't want to miss incremental steps.
Yeah,
in football,
opportunities. Yeah,
and opportunities in football. They always like, oh hey, you guys are playing the Patriots soon. Yeah, in 2 weeks we've got these other two teams or in fighting. Like, oh hey, what do you think if you get to the championship to fight John Jones? Well, I got 2 more fights. Hey, I'm on this fight. I got to think about this fight. That's a very basic way to look at it. In business, you've got several different pipelines of income and things can come from different places. But I've got an analogy, that I see in my own head, and it kind of relates to shooting. So people that shoot, or let me be more specific, people that proficiently shoot can relate to it. Not everyone can. Hence where the domino effect came from. But I've spoken about this to you before. And I say, hey man, when you're shooting, especially at long distances, right? Like when you're looking at that target, the target, like you can see it, but it's not focused. Your front sight tip, so if we're using iron sights, your front sight tip is focused. And then you bring that up center mass through that target, but the target's blurred. Your front sight tip is what's in focus. So that's an analogy that I've used a lot in business to where like no matter where we want to go or where we think we're going, I don't forget like, hey, I've also got to make sure that what's right in front of me gets done properly. I know a lot of people can't relate to that, so I also was thinking of it like dominoes when I was explaining this to Kate, and I was like, well, it's kind of like a domino effect. And I said, you're setting up all these dominoes, and they're splitting, and they're going apart. So, like, let's say you're setting up dominoes on your kitchen table or wherever it's at, and it goes straight for a while, but then, it splits to the left and it splits to the right, but then those two to the left and to the right, knock ones down in the center and makes a cool design. Then it goes up this and down this and over here and way down, and then all of a sudden, like, it's in the living room, and the very last one hits like a mouse trap and like a gong goes off, whatever. That's you forecasting. Right. Hey, it's going to go here and then there and then there, and it's going to end up way over there. Like, that's you forecasting where you think your business is going to go. Yeah. That's fine. The splits that I'm talking about are different business endeavors that might envelop that you might not realize are going to occur, right? However, regardless of whether I'm talking businesses, like business opportunities that pop up for you that you might not even realize are going to be there, that would be like a podcast for us, okay?
Correct.
That's one of those. And then like growing a team, that's like the forecasting way across the other side of the room, the last domino to fall per se, right? However, no matter what splits you got in there and no matter what's across the room for the grand finale, if you don't lay every domino correctly and they all don't fall, nothing happens, right? Like it stops. Everything stops. So my whole thing with that, man, is like in business is it's good to forecast. It's good to like feel the momentum of like what other opportunities might present itself. However, you still have to make sure that your day in and day out regiment and that every single domino you're laying in order for these things to accomplish or to flourish, they have to be laid properly.
Right.
That's like my ideology behind business.
Yeah.
So for us, getting into it, 'cause I like to give directs of like, okay, well, that's cute. That's very ideological of you.
What does it mean?
But like, what does it mean? So for you and I, or I guess for me, let me speak for myself first. It didn't matter where I thought real estate was going to go. Whether I was going to be blessed with Eli okay, Elijah, or wait,
Elijah. It all works. Yeah,
it all works.
Eli.
When you're, I like when I'm being a smartass. It all works. Well, whatever. When I first started, it was just getting licensed. When we've spoken to people that have these big dreams and they're not even licensed.
That was your
yet.
Domino, right?
Yeah, man. And then we have other people that have spoken to us that they just got licensed and they're going to be a top producer. Remember that?
Yeah.
I told you about that.
Yep,
I'm like,
yep.
when that person told us that, they
That's
just
a lot
got
of people,
licensed.
by the way.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like that.
So so it was like, okay, oh, all right, you just got licensed. Okay, yep, I'm going to be a top producer. A top producer of what? Of real estate. For what? Your brokerage? The state under your brokerage? The entire state, regardless of brokerage? The nation for your brand? The entire nation, regardless of brand? Like, top producer of what? Where? What? Like, there's a lot of top producers. You could be a top producer in your office. You could be top producer in the state. Like, if you work at Keller. Okay, so you're a top producer for Colorado. For Keller. Or for everyone, regardless, right? You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
She didn't know. And I'm like, I know you don't know because you haven't given this enough thought. Like, you're saying something that's cute or it's fancy and you think you're supposed to say that because if you say that, that shows how motivated you are. That shows how driven and motivated you are because you want to be a top producer. No, hey, listen, how about just get a fucking deal?
Yeah, let's see if you can sell a house first.
Yeah, or even worse, when people tell you like, okay, and they teach you this. Oh, it makes me fucking mad. It gets that macho man Randy Savage out of me. When you're like, okay, what's your ideal client?
Yeah.
Okay, my ideal client, they're in their mid-30s, and I'm being so accurate with the voice right now, it's not even funny. Everyone that's ever taught this is your voice. Okay, so who's your ideal client? They're in their mid-30s, they're on their second home, and they're on their second home because they already bought one, but they had kids, and that they've outgrown that home, so now they're on their second home, and they're here now. And like your justification is because you want a higher price bracket and a bigger home, and you think that because you're in your mid-30s that maybe
Other
that's
people,
where
yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm like, wow, hey, really?
Yeah.
Now, here's my thing. If that's you and that's worked, I might not believe
Or,
you.
I mean, if you've got a product, yeah, you can do that with a product.
Don't even let Eli butt in right now. Hold on a minute.
If you're selling a product, that's a good idea.
No, fuck that. If you're selling a product, be truthful and sell a product to your experience that you can speak to. Fuck that. My experience, okay, and I think it's a lot of experiences. Hey, listen to me. First and foremost, just get a deal.
Correct.
Okay, like when you get licensed, just make sure that you know the material.
Yep, that's your Domino right now.
And then just start documenting what you're doing every day. And as you gain respect from people through in person, friends and family and sphere and social media, you start documenting what you're doing every day. What are you doing to learn? What are you doing to learn the market? What are you doing to learn a specific market? What type of value are you bringing your friends and family and social media and emails, whatever you're doing, your outreach? How are you providing value? And as you provide value, people will respect that.
Yeah.
And they're going to come to you. Now, there's that other way to do it. Like, that's relationship based. That's how we work. There's that other way, right? I'm not against it. It's a way. Leads. Cool, leads. Okay, so now you're calling Zillow leads and Realtor.com leads and you're doing 200 phone calls a day. Cool. Either way I'm looking at it, I don't see how you're surfing through finding your person who's in their mid-30s and married on their second kid, and they need their second house because they have their second kid named Richard, and right? Like, shut the fuck up.
You're not.
This is what I'm talking about. When we're going to business, and this is why it's so important from my lens, as much as it's so easy to get romantic, right? It's so easy to be romantic and these little splits here and the grand finale here of top producer and you're on stage with your fucking trophy. Yeah, you have no idea how to lay a domino, right? You're that person you see the end state of top producer so quickly that you're just throwing dominoes down and they're all spaced unevenly and they're not organized. And you don't realize that if they do a split, they actually got to be closer because one's got to hit two dominoes at the same time. Like, all that bullshit. Apparently, I've been doing dominoes my whole life, by the way. But what I'm getting at is, like, you have no idea how to, like, reverse engineer something is what I'm getting at. And then properly lay dominoes. Like, hey, how about you just get a deal?
Yeah.
And when you do a deal well and realize where that takes you. And continue your outreach. But what you're going to realize is the better you do deals, you're going to get referrals from that. And the more you do deals, the more material you have to talk about on your outreach that you've already been doing when you're documenting what you've been good at. And Eli and I, when we got together, it was not fancy. It was like, look, every week we did a Friday video. What's working and not working in business? What does the real estate market look like or not look like? And then integration stuff where like, hey, how does being a father make me better at business? And how does being in business make me a better father? And hey, how is health and fitness integrating into our life now that we have different jobs outside of the fitness world? And how are we still maintaining the fitness stuff? And we just kept documenting and bringing value. So bringing
it was dominoes.
Dude, it was huge. And those were domino after domino after domino. We did not plan on having a podcast when we started. We had a year's worth of content that was good. We started practicing, just being on camera and talking and having material. We got invited to a podcast. We went out there and we started realizing what was within our reach after a year of doing it. And now we have material to do so. So that would be like one of those splits where you kind of feel that ebb and flow and you feel where there's some momentum, like now with the business consulting and some public speaking. If you'd have told that to me a year ago, because of my experience and because of somewhat of my niche, from being attached to SOCOM and things like that in the Marine Corps, I would have believed it. Like, hey, Will, you're going to be a public speaker one day, or you're going to go talk at summits and run your fucking mouth. It's not that it's out of reach, right? Like, I run my mouth, I get it, right? Like, so yeah, it would be believable. It's not like it's so unimaginable. I'm not trying to get romantic like that. It's not true. I would believe that a year ago. When it was going to occur, no idea. But that's why it's so important to lay dominoes incrementally and appropriately every single day, because when it does present itself, you're prepared, because you don't really know. So even if you're getting romantic and like, oh, I want the end to be top producer, or I want this business to overlap and to grow into this business that's going to then touch this business and grow into this. Even if what you're saying isn't like out of reach, even if they're all somewhat related to one another, you never know which one's going to pop off and why, which means you got to be prepared no matter what. And if you're laying those dominoes and you're doing your shit day in and day out appropriately, when it does present itself, when you do feel that momentum shift, right, you're cognizant of it and you're prepared to approach it and to see what that lies for you.
I think people tend to get like either in like two different frames of mind. You're either the person that's constantly looking at the end goal, at the target, and you're just taking random shots and they're not landing anywhere because you're not laying any real dominoes and you don't know where exactly you're aiming. Like you have the idea, but it's so far off, nothing is fucking landing. And then you have the other people that they're just too focused on the day-to-day task and they're not thinking where is this going to go? Is this going to get bigger? Hey, right, I love selling homes now, but am I going to love selling homes 20 years from now?
You shouldn't even be thinking that quite yet. And if it's a thought, it's okay, but just house it.
Unless you've been doing this business for 10 years already, you know what I mean? But just that person that's in the day-to-day grind and they just never take their head up or try and like,
I know what you're saying,
bring their business in a certain intentional direction.
So the opposite, right? Yeah, the opposite. You got someone that's always in the clouds, but then someone that's like always in the dirt.
Yep. And that's where it's, I think, really beneficial for us as partners, but then also just as individual people. I think we're both we're both kind of like this too. No, man, we just have a good blend of the two.
Yeah.
And for me, and I've learned that through fitness, right? Any fitness goal that I've had has been like a 5-year goal. I understand how long it takes to see dramatic changes in your body and to build muscle and do all that stuff. So any goal I've had has been 5 years, and it's like, okay, cool. I know that's kind of what I'm thinking. Today, I need to do this. Right? Yeah. Tomorrow I need to do that. And then ultimately those 5 years are going to pass by and you landed somewhere where you're aiming.
Yeah. Well, and you have a lot of people that have been involved in fitness that end up getting crazy about CrossFit, or we've seen a lot of like people, especially like in the female world, which I actually love it. A lot of like female friends of mine, not a lot, I'd say like 3 or 4, but I don't have that many female fitness friends. But I've seen them get into powerlifting.
Yeah.
But they were super small. But by learning fitness and learning their body, learning how to train, they were able to stabilize weight, push weight. They started feeling those incremental benefits of strength training. And then before you know it, one, they realized how strength training boosts your confidence. But it also like creates a different type of muscle growth. Like
it does.
I don't care what anybody says, man. There's things about heavy weight. And I'm not saying go be a power lifter, but there's things about moving heavy weight and how it tears muscle fiber to create density. And once you start learning your body and you start training, like if you'd have told that girl from the get-go when she was like barely putting up 10 pounds that she was going to be a power lifter, she would think, I don't want to be bulky. I don't want to look manly. But then they start training and getting educated. They start feeling those benefits and they start realizing like, oh, I'm actually good at this. Dude, there's a couple of girls that I know that percentage over their body weight, what they deadlift or what they move,
strong as fuck or what,
super strong, and they have fun with it. And that's the biggest thing about the gym as well, right? Is like you just got to find ways to enjoy it and have fun. However, If you'd have been telling those girls before they even, or the day one of going into the gym, they'd be like, what's powerlifting?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like they wouldn't even know what oh, that's different. Oh, I'm in the gym. There's weights. Isn't that? They wouldn't even know the difference, right? So, but if you don't get into the gym every day and you don't start learning your body and you don't start learning how just anatomically a human body operates and then specifically what your body responds to, you're never going to grow in any direction. And just being open-minded, right? Yep. So here's another point. At the beginning, maybe a girl's like, oh, that's what powerlifting, like you explained what powerlifting is. Why would I want to do that? I don't want to look like a dude.
Right.
I don't want to throw kegs over my head. Like they don't realize like, oh, there's a difference in different types of powerlifting. But after they learn, become educated, and just staying open-minded, they start realizing that type of training, not to go be a powerlifter, but just that training in itself, the benefits that they get from that. And now on Instagram, dude, you see a lot of girls doing not just deadlifts, not just squats, but heavy. And this is where some of that growth is. It's not just girls like training their butt all day. And I get it. And guys look at it and that's cute. But now they're actually doing some of those dynamic movements with weight.
Yeah.
Right. And that's great. So, but there's also a little bit of like open-mindedness to go do that with weight, not just reps. And it's the same thing in business. If you're not diving in every day and getting in your craft, like for example, with real estate, we grew our team, hit top 1% nationwide for Berkshire. Like, hey, that's cool. You don't get there day in and day out doing the grind of what real estate actually is and being in the trenches. There's just no substitute for that.
There's
right?
not, dude.
Like you really got to grow that. And then before you're also like, for example, before you and I really started scaling the team, like you and I had to be in the trenches with ourselves day in and day out to make sure that we're proficient. And okay, we're onto something. Okay, cool. You're onto something. Is what you're doing, can you duplicate it? And I always use Michael Jordan as an example. Michael Jordan can't go teach basketball and like, yeah, so hey, read the defense and when they're doing this and doing that, you do this. And then, hey, if they do this, just jump over him and then dunk it. Everything was good, Mike, until you said that. Because not everybody can do that, which means, hey, you've got to figure out a different way to coach basketball because you can't have your own intuition or individual athletic ability that supersedes everybody and throw that into a formula. So within sales, like there are guys, man, that are just super proficient and they've got a way of doing things, but you can't really duplicate it. They're just, or you probably can, they just don't know how to articulate it. But for us, it was like, okay, we're onto something and we're being successful and we're feeling that shift as far as like growing a team. Cool. What does that look like? And then is what we're doing, can we duplicate it? Because you and I were not leads. We are not a lead team. It was like, hey, but here's where we've got traction. Okay, but you got to be sure that can be duplicated. So when people are on your team and you're teaching them a system, you got to know it works. You can't be teaching them bullshit, man.
Here's why that's important is because as you're building your businesses, what you don't necessarily want to do, and I mean, yeah, people have done this a ton, but if you can build something and then find a way to maintain that as you continue to grow and develop yourself and move on to bigger and better things, that's how you create multiple streams of income. What you want to be careful of is, getting good at something and then just pushing that aside and then doing something else and then pushing that aside and doing something else.
You're not a professional.
What he's talking about here and why it's important to duplicate it is because you need to be, it's not a real business if you can't have somebody else run that for you and have it still be successful. Right? It's not a real business.
Or even if you have like no desire to have someone run it for you. Let's just say you're just going to run it for yourself no matter what. But if you're going to have a team, whatever process you have that made you successful, you got to be able to duplicate that so people can learn from it and then apply it. Period, right? And then here's the other thing. Now we're getting into online subscription paid real estate training that we're building now. And then we've got some public speaking. Like if our team was not successful, right? Like, okay, cool. We've got something. So that second step after you and I becoming successful was, okay, is it sustainable? And can we duplicate it? So is it sustainable? Like, hey, do we get lucky with a couple sales or are we procuring business? Yep, it's sustainable. Okay, we can also duplicate it. Okay, and then we've got to put that into play. And then we've got people on the team and we teach them and then, now they're successful. Okay, now you can scale. And then, you know what, man? The past couple years, hey, here's some things where we're doing it right. And here's where teams are not providing nationwide. Yeah, every Monday you go to your meeting and they tell you to call people. But hey, they're not doing this for anyone. They're not doing this for anyone. They're not doing this. They're not doing this. They're not doing this. So we start creating data and we start creating our own thought process on how we can make our thoughts on these flaws in the industry, how we can duplicate what we do. And because we've got a team that's proven successful, now you can go to that next step of scaling.
Credibility,
You've got the credibility, right? So now you can go at scale. You can start teaching that. And then, okay, cool. From teaching that, now we've got something there where we've got their attention. Oh, and hey, SOCOM, cool. Oh, hey, you guys are applying all of these special operation command ideologies and culture and small unit leadership and cool Marine Corps stuff into this. Hey, we like that. Hey, come talk about that. Cool. So now we go talk about it.
Yeah.
But, and then cool. Then now we start business consulting, right? Like the guy where we're going for New York, he's also spoken about, he wants some individual consulting on his business. Hey, do you guys do that? Yes, we do that. But I can't go help him within leadership or culture or small unit leadership or after action. I can't go talk to him about that stuff if I haven't put that into play with our team and figured out a process that makes it so I can actually answer his questions. Now, if he asks me, hey, I want to be a $100 million business, like, I'm not your guy. I'm not the CEO that's done that. However, here's what I've done as far as these scopes. So I can speak to that scope. But again, man, like, all of that had to come from building an actual business that we can go speak on. And then before that, having an actual business that was sustained and successful came from you and I having our process on how we think we're successful at business, applying that. And then prior to that, it was doing a deal and just getting, like, if you're not doing deals, you don't have an opinion. And if you're not doing deals adequately, you don't have an opinion. And if you're not paying attention to patterns, and if you're not becoming successful and becoming that top producer per se, you don't have the authority, in my mind, to then go have a team. And then once you start a team, if you're 95% of the business and everyone on your team sucks, but you don't have a team.
Right.
Because you haven't put that, like, you haven't made them successful. It's just
you don't have proof of concept.
You don't have proof of concept.
Yeah.
So you've got to get that. And then from there, we scaled it. And now we're teaching. Like, but again, man, all of that comes from, like, just the individual having to do that job first. And the Marine Corps is big on that, man. So that's, and I'm not sure for you, but that's where it comes at for me, man. Like, small unit leaders, if you're going to be a team leader or a squad leader, or if you're going to be, even as an instructor, dude, if, like, when I was a counter sniper instructor for division schools, you have to go through school.
Makes sense.
You can't just go be an instructor, even though, like, they know you're competent. If you haven't been through the school as a student, they don't let you become an instructor. And then, like, if you're going to become a sergeant, if you're a squad leader, if you're a team leader, like, if you haven't been successful at every job in the team, you're not going to be a team lead. And it wasn't to be out of all the things the Marine Corps could be a dick about, okay? That was not one of them. They were not doing that.
Well, and that's logical
to be a
too.
dick. You had to be proficient, man.
Right. Well, and I think, one of the things that people are probably asking themselves is, okay, so I need to look, down the road, but I also need to pay attention to what do I need to do today? How do I find that balance, right? Of, looking long-term, but acting short-term. Here's what I think works well for us is, we're really good at executing on the day-to-day, right? But what we're also really good at is paying attention to the data that's in front of us. So, for example, with the real estate training, we're training our team a couple times a month. We're doing our team meetings, and we're doing the day-to-day grind, right? And then just because we pay attention to shit, we realize, okay, we're saying the same thing, right, to different groups of people, right? Anytime we find ourselves repeating a process, you got to ask yourself, all right, how can I systematize this? How can I make this better, for my time and for people's time, because that's just not good for anybody if we're all just saying the same shit week after week after week. So, hey, what if we just recorded this, put it in training modules, and now it's available for everybody at any time, and we can take that to scale. But you need to do the day-to-day grind, and you need to pay attention to your data, and you need to get good at it too, because what you can't do is just train on people, have them get no results, and then try and scale, and put your shit out there that isn't going to help anybody.
And we see this. This has been a problem in business for a long time. Even now, as transparent as business is, you still see it, where, like, someone, like, the only business they've had is telling people how to run a business, but they've never run a business in order to tell you how to run a business. Their business is telling you how to run business, and it's fucking weird.
It is weird, man. Well, it's people can get away with it, and that's why it's a thing, because people don't want to start a business. They want to talk about starting businesses.
There's just no proof of concept,
Right.
And we've seen this a lot in real estate. So when it comes to, like, why we're scaling the real estate training, why we want the online stuff, is because, when you're looking around and you don't see anything getting done right at scale, look at yourself. It's the same way in the Marine Corps. If you're looking around waiting for direction and no one's giving it, hey, and maybe you're the only one thinking about it. So maybe you're looking around and no one's, like, doing it because it's supposed to be you.
Right.
So step up, and then do it, and a lot of our reasons, like, of course we want to scale our business. And of course I'd love to go do some public speakings and to have a great influence, because I think the integrity behind what we're doing is the right thing. And if I don't know something, man, I trust it. I'm going to say, listen, I don't know, but here's what I think of this or whatever it may be. But when you're looking around and no one's doing it right, or there's just a miss. And I think in real estate, there's just a huge gap within actual training, like taking you out and doing the work and just talking to you once a week, or like all these 3 times a week trainings and this and that and that and this, but I don't see anyone coming out of them successful. I think it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of like little fancy information and note taking, but there's no actual rubber to road. And there's a gap there. So we want to kind of close the gap in that, but again, you also, like, we never knew when that was going to pop off. We weren't even planning to have that pop off. Okay. So us wanting to scale the real estate side, that started coming, man, after a while of owning our team. We had already hit top 1%. We'd already done a lot of great things. It was like, man, no one's doing this. No one's doing that. Why are we the only ones teaching this? Why are we the only ones teaching that? Like, hey, we took agents that were doing no deals in 2 years. They started doing several deals in the first 2-3 months, man. Like, hey, cool. We're on to it. And then we started realizing, like, man, instead of trying to like invite everybody and their mom in the country to come to our team, that's not realistic. What if we just went to them? Yeah. And obviously you and I have a fitness background, so we understand like there's in-person trainers, right? But if you're training everybody in person, you're probably capped at like 9 a day. And that's almost unrealistic if you did 9 people terrible. A day. It's terrible. However, online personal trainers that can do 80% of what's actually needed online, they can scale it to 3 million.
Yep.
And if you want to pay a little bit more, or if he's got time, you want to reach out to them for personal one-on-ones, you can do so. But there's a lot of great things that can be scaled. And then how we're going to reach the one-on-one is the phone calls. And we're also going to do weekly, mastermind classes as far as like, in real time,
and answer questions. Even that's just another fucking domino. That still isn't end game. That's just another domino.
It's just another domino
that we're putting our head down and getting to work on it.
But we wouldn't feel that if we wouldn't have felt that if we didn't grow a team to top 1% and actually know where the gap is. And you can't say that you know where a gap's at if you're not at the top. Yeah. If you're not becoming successful, if you're not a leader in your industry, it's really hard for you to say, well, there's a gap. Or I don't even want to say just leader, but maybe you've only been around for a little while, but you're becoming extremely successful and you found the gap or you found what's missing. Cool. Still do that for a while and make sure that, I'm onto something. I'm onto a clue. Like in police work, you find a clue.
Yep.
You don't just grab that clue and run off to the judge and go show the judge a clue, because it could also be super ironic, right? Like you want to find that pattern, you want to find that sustainability with it. You want to build what we call build a case. So you find a clue. Noted. Okay, like you're still impartial, man. You don't want to be accusing anybody in your head, because now how you're looking at the case is jaded. If you think, I think Joe Schmuckatelli did it. If you're like that, man, everything you're finding, you're going to be slanting to whether. And if you find something that doesn't slant toward him, you're not. Oh, it doesn't matter. No, it does. Everything matters all the time. So, but if you find a clue, hey, cool, I'm onto something. So if you find a gap, or if you find some momentum somewhere within your industry, even if you're early on, okay, but then just keep a feel for that and keep seeing where that takes you. But again, man, like we wouldn't even be at this domino of scaling.
Yeah.
If we hadn't hit every single other domino of individual deals, of individual accountability into the team growing, and then into the team growing successful enough to be a top 1%er, to even have something to say, to then branch off. This is like our first split. We've had a straight line of straight dominoes, and our first split is like that scalability within real estate training, along with understanding like where that can take you in just business consulting overall.
Back it up a little bit. Like you said, your first one was really like your first one in real estate was just getting licensed. And then it was us connecting. And then it was us growing a team. And then it was us seeing we want to scale, or then the podcast, and then us scaling this. And what I like about the domino analogy is that allows people to be fucking patient, dude, and understand that, hey, I don't need a home run right now. Matter of fact, I'm not going to get a home run for a long time. What I'm doing right now is just a little domino. Yeah. And then I can focus on this, and then my next domino, and then my next domino.
And dude, you don't need a home run.
No, you don't, dude. It's dominoes. There's no home runs. Don't fucking exist, dude.
Well, I know. Like some of these guys we've heard about home runs, some of these public speakers or folks that we follow, they go, yeah, so I hit that home run, and people think I'm an overnight success. I've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah.
One of my big surprise ones was what's his name? That motivational speaker, the black guy.
Eric Thomas?
Yeah, Eric Thomas. They, he was in some college or some high school.
You've made it when you're described as like, who's that motivational speaker? The black guy. Oh, Eric Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made it, bro.
He's cool, man. I like him. And yeah, I don't just say African American guy. I'm not. That's silly. We know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Just be real.
Yeah.
I'm the white boy. It's all good.
But he is the black motivational
Every time you get choose for basketball,
dude.
like I'll take the white boy.
Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good, man. But something that was interesting about him was when I saw like his backstory one time, and he was talking about that video, his first video that was on YouTube, where he's like yelling at a classroom.
Yep.
And that was like a college, or I can't remember. Don't quote me on it, but the point was some student filmed that and threw it on YouTube and it went viral. And he talked about the shit he did for 25 years prior to some kid who filmed him and threw it on YouTube.
Yep.
And then it going viral. And it's like, it took 25 years of this just for someone to ironically film him and this happened. It wasn't, and yes, it was an overnight identity capture, but it wasn't an overnight success. Like the guy put in this much work just to find an opportunity. It's like, well then, okay. So then it was lucky, right? Like kind of, however, if you're not playing the game every day,
if you're not prepared, you're not going to be lucky.
Your chances of becoming lucky are super, super.
Yeah. Well, low. and that's one of the dangers of trying to look too far down the road, man, is because I promise you, when he was homeless, he wasn't thinking about being a motivational speaker. I promise you, if he was thinking about being a motivational speaker,
or maybe he was, but not at scale.
If he was thinking about being a motivational speaker, he wouldn't have gone in to like help kids pass their GED for free.
Well, but that's where he was being motivational. So when we said like, we don't think he would have been and obviously we're speaking for him, but maybe he didn't want to be, maybe he didn't think of being a motivational speaker. I think he did, but I think that was just that from the day one, it was just him wanting to reach and motivate youth to just get them to become successful. Now, looking back, would you think that, especially after 25 years of not being a big deal, all of a sudden him being a big deal? I don't know if he would have guessed that he would have been scaled to where he is now. However, the fact that he got better.
Yeah.
And again, so like that happens, right? And like all of a sudden he's a quote unquote overnight success. He's a huge deal. People love him, this and that. He still went on to get his PhD.
Because he said he was going to.
He did. And he also understood like, okay, people like me. I'm getting some places. I'm making some money for speaking. Yep. But I can't remember what podcast he was on, so don't quote me. But I remember him talking about, maybe it was Gary Vee. I think it was Gary Vee, because Gary Vee's against school and shit.
Yeah.
But he said, hey, look, there's just a way about it, and if you want to be taken serious at a certain echelon of people, you just have to be college accredited. Yeah. And I think he was like, don't quote me, he might have been talking about like the uppity white folk and going to Ivy League schools or wherever he was going. Now that he started to build a name for himself, he understood, hey, there's still a certain echelon of people I'm not going to be able to hit unless I have this. But when I got this, I'm cleared from the top down. Yeah. And he got it. And dude, when he got his PhD, he had made it. He made it. He was getting millions of views. He was making money. He made it. He could have gone the other way of like, yep, you don't need school. You don't need this. But guess what, dude? His whole thesis, man, of helping people was to getting the youth, especially urban youth, like less fortunate youth, whites, blacks, Hispanic, everybody that was less fortunate in less fortunate schools, to get them to go to college.
Well, dude, that's what he did, man. Like,
so how could he then go bad talk school? He was good to his word too.
He was still like fucking homeless when he was doing free GED classes for kids, man. And he was like trying to find free pencils from people, like to get the class, like pencils and paper. Yeah. But he was doing that for free when he was like homeless.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
And most people don't know that about him. And then when you start diving into someone's story, like, interesting, and I like that.
Yeah.
And I like that he's still, and I like that he still finished off his school, and he didn't have to, but he did. It was good to his word, and he wanted to show every kid he ever taught that's what it was all about. And secondly, he also said, it got me into the room. The upper echelon folks, it got me into the room, because that thing right there was the last golden token. He could get cleared from the top down, and he did, man. He scaled even more. So again, even though he had made it, it was still a domino.
That just goes to show, dude, that like, you just can't be too focused in the long term, man. Like, just get your head down, work on that domino for a while, and just kind of observe and see what's around, and kind of
don't sell yourself out.
Things lead you. Don't sell yourself out. Don't fucking take a shortcut. Any financial bullshit that I've gone through has been a direct cause of me trying to take a shortcut. Yeah. 100%, dude.
Well, a lot of that. And again, so, I know Ed Milet talks about it, like, don't sell yourself. You shouldn't be for sale. And if you are, why for so low? And, you know, like Eric Thomas makes it. I'm sure he could have sold himself to a network,
dude,
or he could have been sponsored. He could have spent his time that he was going to school, he could have spent on something else. But, dude, that would have literally made everything he taught a lie. And it would have just taught the entire demographic, hey, all you got to do is become famous, whether it's an athlete, whether it's, you know, running your mouth like this. Oh, hey, if you can just get enough attention and become famous, you don't need school. And that would be what he's teaching. So he still stayed true to his process and what he thought was important, even when maybe it wasn't so important anymore because he had made it. He still understood the importance of his impact.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, man, I'm saying important a lot. It's important to remember that. But again, the dude was laying dominoes forever. And same thing with you and I, man. Like we're at the very beginning stages of some incremental leaps, you know, that we're gonna have, and some of our steps that we're taking next are a little bit bigger than the last ones. But at the same time, man, like everything we do, like it should still derive at like the core of who we are.
Yeah.
And a lot of like when you decide to lay that next domino, like, okay, does it have to slightly turn because we're going this way? Does it have to slightly turn because we're going to go to the right? Does it have to hit 2 dominoes at once? So do I have to put it a little bit closer? Whatever I'm doing with this little domino, the integrity of the domino should not change.
Correct.
Right? Like I can't
make that. In fact, if it does, it's going to fuck shit up.
Well, if you make that domino soft or whatever, if you change the consistency of it, it changes the whole process. Not that you can change dominoes.
And fat.
Whatever it is. But the point is, right, no matter what direction we're going to go, the integrity of our dominoes and why we're laying them and where we're laying them should not change as far as what our process is and why we're doing what we're doing. And I know everything kind of falls back on your why, and that's also hard to find. If you say your why is helping people, 9 times out of 10, I call you a liar. Not a liar as in you're lying to me and you're malicious, liar as in you just haven't dug deep enough because everyone says that. And if you're truly out to like help people, listen to me. You have no idea the work and sacrifice and frustration and pissed off days you're going to have if that's really what you are. There's a lot to it, and there's a lot of people that have come before us that have died helping others. Okay, so like for me, that's like a super powerful one, but it's also like this fancy thing to say nowadays. And it's not that I don't believe you. It's probably because either you don't believe yourself and that's just the thing to say, or you just haven't given enough thought to what you want. And helping people, okay, but how though? Right? Don't just say helping people. Within what? What can you speak to, and where do you actually have the nerve to kind of say those things? But no matter what, man, like as much as I'm kind of bashing on that, you do have to kind of dive in and figure out what that is, because look, man, if your day-to-day purpose isn't there, then the integrity and the placement of those dominoes day in and day out, they're not gonna be well. You're gonna half-ass something in your big old fancy project 20 years from now, it's all gonna fall on its face, man. It's not gonna be what you want.
And I think too that analogy is really motivating for people that aren't where they want to be right now. Like just understanding that even if you're nowhere near the career that you think you want to be involved in, you're in a domino right now. And the thing that we train a lot of our agents on is, all right, you may be doing real estate, but what have you done in the past? What sort of skills did you acquire in whatever you were doing, be it through school, motherhood, working at fucking Dairy Queen, like wherever? How can you apply that to where you're at now, right?
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too, man. Like I'm not sure if this like applies directly, but let's call just to like get the ball rolling. Let's say your first 4 to 6 dominoes are like your core values, like work ethic, integrity, consistency. Like, because if you don't have those, it doesn't matter where every other, like, it doesn't matter how well you want to lay all these other dominoes and how fancy you want to get, how far you want to go in business. You're not going to find your way in anything, man. Like in any industry or any athletic, whatever you're doing, even if you're super athletic, that runs out at a certain level. Everyone is super athletic, right? So everything kind of runs out at a certain moment, right? Some you can go longer than others, but the bottom line is, if your core essentials, right, your work ethic, your consistency, your integrity with the type of work that you do, your ability to learn, right, your ability to become resourceful, and if you're not learning, go find more information so you are learning. Like,
starting with those 4.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. If you don't have those, no matter what domino park you built, like you could build 4 separate. It won't matter. Well, and they're not going to get off the ground.
Let's touch on that real quick. All those things that he had just mentioned, those are all trainable attributes. That's one thing I didn't really learn until I was in adulthood was, oh, fuck, I can train my work ethic. I can train my consistency. I can train my integrity. I can train. What was the other one? Not discipline.
Being
I said this.
resourceful.
Learn, the ability to learn.
The ability to
All
learn.
those are trainable. And for me, like, I swear I learned how to learn when I first started listening to like a podcast one day. Like, fuck it, let me turn on a podcast. And I realized, hey, I can learn a lot. Hey, I can learn anything. Fuck, YouTube,
from
podcasts, whatever. Yeah, you can learn anything.
Some people are visual,
and
some people are audio and visual.
Work,
some people can
work
read.
ethic. Have some self-awareness. If you know your work ethic sucks, don't lie to yourself. Get to the fucking gym. Just focus on the gym for a while. That's your domino right now. Get to the gym consistently. You're also working your fucking consistency when you're doing that. Once you've kind of trained that into yourself, okay, maybe it's time for another domino now, right?
Well, there's a lot of dominoes in that gym.
Those
right?
those first four are so critical, man.
Well, just consistency.
Yeah.
That's there, right? Like your ability to learn, because you're going to have to learn different workouts. You're also going to have to learn your body and what your body responds to. The integrity behind actually lifting heavy enough weights. Okay. Like if you're doing a workout that a trainer gave you or some online coach gave you, and hey, cool. So we're doing sets of, we're doing 4 sets of 12. That 12th rep should be fucking brutal. Okay. And if it's not, and you could have done 18, but instead you just did 12 and you stopped and you're resting for the next set.
I hate those people.
Listen, you're only affecting yourself, correct? So like the integrity behind the work that you're doing, you're learning that. So consistency, ability to learn, integrity, like
ethic.
resourcefulness. Well, I don't have a gym close to me, or the gym I go to I don't like. Okay, be resourceful. Find a place to go where you can not only like it, but not just to stare at scattered ass, but go to a gym where you can become successful, or go, even if you got to drive 15
Unless
more
that's
minutes.
really motivating for you.
Whatever.
Really
if it is,
for
fine.
some
But
people.
my point is, like, maybe you got to drive 15 minutes longer to go because the trainer that you want is at a different gym. But there's a lot of dominoes you can you can figure out if you have those by just taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, man.
I used to have clients like fake grimace and fake being in pain so that I would end the set quicker. Because one thing I would never do, like I'd kind of give them a range sometime, but a lot of time I would just watch them and tell them when they're done. And then, so they would kind of, and then they would learn that I did that. And maybe I'm reading body, like, okay, he's reading my body language. So then they would try like grimacing or grunting or doing something. I'm like, you're fucking faking. You're faking like this. You're faking right now. I can fucking tell.
Did you fire him?
No, but he called him out and you crack a joke about it. You're like, all right, motherfucker, don't do that again.
I would crack
now we're
one
doing
joke.
extra.
I would go, ha ha. Oh, hey, listen, you do that again and you're fucking out of here.
Yeah,
and that's
until-
why I'd be and man,
Bro, yeah, and then he'd be a homeless personal trainer with no food.
or I'd get a lucky break
Because
and I'd be
100% of clients are like that, bro.
well, yeah, you're
100%.
You're talking about people that get off of work and that's a different podcast. But the point is, if you're listening to this one and you're like, well, Will, Eli, I'm not sure what my work ethic is. I'm not sure if I can learn. I'm not sure if I can be resourceful. Like, where do you guys learn those things? I'm 20, like, cool, go to the gym.
Yep.
And find those things out. Like, this is why you and I fall.
If you're 40,
we fall back on the
go to the gym.
If you're
50,
40,
go to the gym.
well, you're just gonna learn it about yourself. But that's where, because you gotta learn, and it's gotta go beyond just what you like.
Yep.
Because I promise you, like, Eli and I love what we do. There's days where we don't want to be on a podcast. There's days where we don't want to be working on a contract. There's days where I don't want an agent calling me asking me a question.
Yep.
But that's not professional. Like, if you want to be a professional at what you do, you're going to work hard enough and get to a high enough level where you're going to have days you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You got to fucking do it. Not only do you got to do it, you got to do it to where no one knows you're having a bad day. Like, if an agent calls me
so true, dude.
and they have questions for me, if I'm in a bad mood, it's because they pissed me off. It's not because I'm in a bad mood. If they do something completely retarded, you're going to hear about it. But they're not going to like hear about something because I happen to be in a mood. No, listen to me. You'll never see, like, Eli, he'll hear me vent. Him and I vent to each other. We'll talk. You'll never see me handle an agent tired.
Yeah, differently. Yeah.
Upset,
Yep.
not in the mood. You're out of your mind. And it's not because I don't feel those ways. It's because, look, I'm a professional, and that's what we do, and that's how that goes. But you're not going to get there if you haven't figured out those limits and busting through them on your own to yourself.
Yeah.
You don't practice on people. You don't practice on other scenarios. Get your ass into the gym. That's your petri dish of learning about who you are and what it actually takes to get to a level you want to be. Period.
So true, dude. Yeah,
Period,
exactly. And it's all about just being tested, right? And if you haven't had those conversations with yourself about what is my work ethic like? What is my discipline like? What is my ability to learn like? You got to have those questions with yourself. and you've got to find a way to test yourself and see where you're at, and just start getting better, guys. But again, that's a domino, and these dominoes need attention long before you can have any sort of big long-term success.
Correct. And you've got to learn that out for yourself. Like, you don't want to get people around you, people trusting you, but you have no idea who you are on the inside.
Yeah.
We just did a video today saying no to a men's group.
Yep.
We had a couple of people reach out and talk to us about leading a men's group. So we started diving into that. We didn't say yes. We said, hey, we're going to dive into it and kind of see what that looks like. Cool. And we did. And we said no. Right? It was like, look, with everything else that we got going on, now that we've dove into like what guys are wanting from it, what we would do differently than other men's groups, and how we would make it successful, we saw how much work was going to go into that. And when we've already got other obligations and commitments for 2020, it's like, look, man, we don't have, with integrity, we don't have the amount of time to commit to make it what we would want. Could we have done it half-assed and it's still been good? Yeah, compared to other ones, yeah. However, that's not what we do. We do it all out, and we make it successful. Or we don't do it because it's our name and it's our stamp on it. So we said no to it, one, because first reason was the timing. We didn't have enough time to commit to it. Secondly, when I started seeing some of the guys that were interested as far as like being a part of a men's group, and then I see what some of these guys say or what they post on their own, I'm like, Eli, hey man, if they're a part of our men's group, that means I'm putting my stamp on it, which means if they post some dumb shit, I'm accepting of that. Hey dude, I can't go running around crying about what 50 guys got to say. Yeah. And you know what that says about me? I'm still somewhat opinionated. And maybe I don't have enough tools to see why. Maybe what they posted was stupid. Or maybe they're in a place where that's just acceptable right now. And the bottom line was, hey, I'm kind of, I feel confident within growing business as far as like leadership and culture and small unit leadership, and just individuals wanting to grow their business. I'm really good at training leadership. As far as teaching men on all aspects of being a man, hey, you know what? I might be good at that in my 40s. I might have 10 years before I should be leading a men's group. And then thirdly, we've got an entire team, real estate team, that's built of all women except for one guy. And I'm not ready to say no to girls. Yeah. If we're going to dive in and give that much time into something on top of everything else that we're doing.
With some good content.
With great content, like, okay, and we're going to add now another group, a men's group. Okay, well, I'm not ready to say no to women. I think women do really well in business. I think they thrive in that, especially when they want to be taken serious and they want to apply themselves. Like there are some setbacks men have that we don't talk about, and they fucking piss me off, right? Because men, they have egos. Men sometimes puff their chest up at other men. Men sometimes will say, yeah, cool, because you're telling them what to do or you're advising them what to do. They're going to go do what they think they should do anyway because they're hard-headed.
Yep.
Versus, from my experience, don't get your fucking panties in a bunch. From my experience, women are very coachable. And when they want to be, when they've been moms for however long and they're getting back and they want to be an adult and they're choosing real estate and they want to be taken serious, they're coachable, man. They will do what you're, and they might be insecure,
and they're better
they might
executors.
be scared.
They're better executors too.
They'll execute and they're coachable, and I like that. So, and I'm not saying that men can't be that way. I'm just saying there's a lot of men that aren't. So when I'm looking at adding something on top of our plate for 2020 that we already have, I'm like, okay, we add something, but
it's got to take away something.
Segregated to women? No. Even if we don't take something away.
Yeah, well, it takes time away from other, it takes away.
It does, but what I'm getting at is if we're going to add something on top of what we already have, I'm also going to add that, but then not allow women to access it I'm a big fan of women in business.
Right.
I don't know, man. I wasn't ready for it. So the bottom line was, it was like, no. Yeah. Not going to do it. I'm not sure why I was bringing that up.
Yeah. Dude,
it was the just having integrity with yourself and knowing your limits.
Yes.
And we have a good reputation.
No one would say no.
I've always had a good word. I've always had a good reputation with people. I know my limit, right? Yeah. And for me, it was like, hey, I'm not going to tarnish myself by wanting to do something, knowing I can't execute.
But it also came from paying attention because there were a couple little signs. Nothing major, nothing slapped us in the face. Yep. Nothing went dramatically wrong. There was no one we hated. There was just a couple little signs that we were paying attention to. We're like, maybe not right now. Yeah, maybe not right now.
Not gonna say on me.
There we go. Thank
you. There you go. You're welcome. No, I get it. And so again, I think, we're coming up on 55 minutes, so we're almost at an hour. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think my biggest takeaway for people that are listening to this is, listen, you've got to figure out your core fundamental dominoes. If we're playing Pogs, you were talking to JT about Pogs. If we're talking about Pogs, we're going to talk, okay, you got to figure out your slammers. Your 4 slammers.
That big old slammer, that 8 ball on
that got to be ready to go, right? So when we're talking about what platform you're going to be building your whole domino game on. Like your fundamentals, right? Your work ethic, being coachable, being resourceful, having integrity with the work that you're doing.
Consistency.
Your consistency, like those 5 or whatever 5 you want, but those are big 5 for us, right?
Huge.
Like you've got to have those, because if you don't have those, no matter what industry you try, no matter what adventure you try on top of whatever you're doing, it's not going to work. You're going to fail. So, but what I'm getting at is if you're young, or if you're new to something, or if you've never really been tested, going to the gym or finding a platform where you can test yourself, jiu-jitsu, paintball competitions, whatever, right? Like the gym, like find a place where you can like solely rely on yourself to produce without harming anyone else, right?
Over a long period of time.
Don't start MLMing. Don't start doing multi-level marketing and calling all your friends and family and telling them how great this diet pill is when you don't even believe in this shit in the first place.
Yep.
And now you just tarnish your word, and everyone did the guilt purchase. And no, your MLM network, and you're not going to be Tony Robbins. It ain't happening.
No.
I'm over it. Stop calling me, okay? And in addition to that, when it doesn't work out and all your friends and family see you not successful because they're not selling it either, strike one. You tarnish your name. So don't do stuff like that. Like go somewhere where you can figure out your core fundamentals and do you have what it takes as far as bringing yourself, motivating yourself to a certain level of proficiency. And if you're young, listen, I'm not a recruiter, but the Marine Corps is hiring if you're good enough. You want to test yourself?
Yeah.
Get your punk
It's a
ass
great
in
resource,
there.
man.
You're gonna learn a ton there as far as
Yep.
work ethic. And I'm not saying I'm not an advocate for everyone. I'm kind of being half funny, but places like that, especially if you're young, we have a young demographic listening to this.
Yeah.
Look, if you're not quite sure where you want to go, but you're not college material per se, but you're smart or you want to be tested, there's some great careers within the military, and they'll motivate you. Even when you don't have it, they're gonna help you find it, right? And it's better than just doing nothing, or it's better than calling yourself an entrepreneur but gaffing shit off for 6 years. No, go learn a trade, go learn skills, go learn.
Get good at something, yeah.
And this isn't just about like learning, like, okay, well, what's my job? I'm gonna go learn Intel. Like, yeah, whatever, cute. But you're also gonna learn leadership and teamwork and consistency and camaraderie and work ethic. Right? Like you're going to learn a ton of stuff within the scope of whatever job you chose in the military. Like there's a lot of stuff you take away from it. Belief in yourself, confidence, because you're going to have to overcome a lot of shit there that maybe you normally wouldn't put yourself through. And guess what? You got no choice there. You're going, I'm not a swimmer. You are today.
Yeah.
Come here, flipper.
Dude,
yeah. I'll tell you the story again.
Right.
I wasn't a swimmer.
Right.
But I was that day, right?
No
Fucking
shit,
get
dude.
it out of you. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I know that's not spoken about too much anymore. I know that the wars, quote unquote, are over. No, they're not. However, society kind of thinks so as far as in America. But even if you're not combat arms and you find something else within the military, what I'm getting at is it's better than this romanticizing, and everyone's calling himself an entrepreneur now and everyone's a hustler. Like, no, you're not. And if you know that within yourself, but college is just a nightmare for you, I promise you, the camaraderie, the teamwork, the work ethic, the feeling of self-accomplishment, the feeling of team accomplishment, the feeling of confidence, of overcoming things while you're going through the military, there's a lot you're going to learn there. And I promise you this, if you go and you apply yourself and you do a great job, you're not going to hurt yourself by going. You're not missing out if you go there for 4 years or 8 years or 12. Like, you're going to bring some really good skills. And maybe you're not a radio operator when you get out of the military, but you've got some skills that then do lead to entrepreneurship. And now you do have a backbone of work ethic and consistency and ability to learn. And then it does grow into an entrepreneurship. Yeah. But you've got to have those those fundamentals for your foundation, right? So it's not, it's really, and I'm not trying to recruit you, right? I'd probably, but holy shit, man, like that's where I come from. There's nothing wrong with it. So keep an open mind if you're a younger person and you're not really sure where to get tested and you want to do something beyond just the gym.
And if this podcast does one thing for you, if this podcast episode is one thing for you, my hope is that it makes you realize that these steps are necessary, and there's a lot of them, and that it's okay where you're at, and you can get something good out of where you're at, or just be okay. Like, if you want to have a business down the road, be okay going into the military for 4 years and understand all the other shit that you're going to get out of it, and just understand this is another necessary domino in your whole trail that's going to eventually lead to success, quote
and
unquote.
Eli didn't do that, but I did. So this podcast and this business relationship is just a testament that there's 1,000 ways to approach this.
Yes.
You just got to have the integrity to figure out what works for you to make sure that you're proficient. Because my instinct
Take your time getting there.
Well, look, man, here's my final message for you. You can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Okay. So regardless of what business or whatever endeavor you want to do, if you're chicken shit, you're chicken shit. It doesn't matter how you try to dress it up. Like there's going to be flaws at its core and you're not going to be successful. So however you have to find that, just understand, when I was going through the Marine Corps, I did not think I would be an owner of a real estate company.
Hell no.
Okay. I'd probably punch you if you said that to me.
That's hilarious.
But I also had, but I also had no context of, doing it different and making it fun and making it successful and still being myself within that. If you'd have told me that, my naive self would be thinking I'm going to tie, faking who I am, and I'd have punched you in your face. Yeah. Having context and being able to do it on my own terms, well, yeah, it makes sense. Or like when I was a cop, like, oh, you're going to own a real estate company. No, whatever, dude. Like, but again, those were all just dominoes, man, that were stacked the right way. I didn't necessarily know where my future was going to go, but I knew how I wanted it to go. Like, I don't know where I'm going to end up, but I know how I want to end up.
Yep.
I want to end up doing it right. Yep. I want to do a good job and have a good word. And whatever I end up doing, man, it's got to be solidified, and I got to be doing a good job at it. And I just kept an open mind, and we've done everything on our terms, how we want it. But we've done a good job, and we've come full circle with everything that we're doing. And again, you've got to figure that out. So if it's military, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, just focus on that front sight tip. Don't focus, like that target can be in front of you, and you obviously know where your target's at, but focus on your front sight tip, your breathing, your trigger squeeze, things like that, or your dominoes, right? Like focus on your dominoes. Like, yeah, I've got an idea of like where I want to go. I've got an idea of where I think that the interim or the end of these dominoes are going to end up. Cool. But how they end up there should be more important than looking at ending up there. You know what I mean? Like they should all lay and fall right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So don't, as much as we romanticize and we start looking at that end state, don't lose focus on the day-to-day or the step-by-step process that's got to happen, and making sure that every single domino you lay, it's solidified, and don't allow its integrity to fail.
100%. Right? That's good, man.
Happy Monday.
All right. Domino effect. Thanks for listening, guys.
Later.
We will see you later this week.
Yes, sir.
Friday?
Could be Friday. Was
recording
that a Friday with a
Wednesday.
question mark?
Well, I know we're recording Wednesday.
Yeah.
No, it'll be Wednesday, guys. It'll be Wednesday.
We're recording Wednesday
with Alex.
We got a treat for you guys. So we'll see you Wednesday.
We got a guest on.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, guys. We'll see you then. Take care.
See you guys. Out.